Hey, hi everyone. Welcome and thanks for being here. Have you ever heard anybody say life is not for sissies? I'm sure you've probably heard a saying that goes around a lot. Um, and you know what? There's probably a lot of truth to that, right? Life is full of challenges. Our everyday life, every day has a challenge typically, or many, for most of us. In fact, I would guess all of us. There's always challenges. And then there's those specific challenges that kind of are at the top of mind, we could say, all the time that carry through. So maybe normally on just a regular day, you might have a challenge because you're in a traffic jam. But you also have a challenge because you're not meeting the person that you'd like to be with. You're having trouble finding a partner, but you really want one. You feel lonely and you feel like you're really like to be in a good relationship, but you only seem to find men or women that are not in alignment with you. So that kind of challenge carries on from day to day to day. Could be the challenge of you're in a job that you don't like, and but you don't exactly know where to go next, or you're maybe feeling like you can't really get the kind of job that you want because you're not ready for it, or who knows, there's all kinds of ideas. So those are just a few ideas that are a few challenges that people go through. I know this because I coach and work with these people, and those kind of things, like I say, carry on day after day, where the everyday other challenge, like you're in a traffic jam, that doesn't necessarily happen every day, but other challenges could happen. You go to the grocery store to get a particular item and they're out of it, and you have a busy life and you don't have time to keep running to different grocery stores. I mean, there's little challenges. The washing machine breaks and you have a load of clothes to do. But that doesn't happen every day. And then we have the everyday issues that are going on that really bother us and tend to actually have a big influence in decisions we make about how we're leading our life and what we're really frustrated over because we keep saying we want this, but we get the opposite, right? Well, I think there's another issue that comes up that we aren't really recognizing, and I see this a lot again in the people that I work with, and that is we tend to separate out what we could call our spiritual life from what we could call just our everyday life. So our everyday life appears to be the outer experience, and then the spiritual life tends to be the inner experience. So spiritual life, what does that mean? Well, maybe it means when we're meditating, we're sitting in front of an altar perhaps, and we get into that space of meditation, and that's what we call part of our spiritual life. Or we could be part of a community that's spiritual, but we only go to that once or twice a week or whatever it is. It could be church or some other type of community that's spiritually oriented. It could be A Course in Miracles, who knows, but that's the time that we're focused on that. But somehow we see these to be separate lives, right? Separate situations. I got the spiritual life, and then I got the outer life, and the outer life has all these challenges. That's where I think the problem comes in. Because when we have these challenges, what we tend to go after and look for, and by the way, this happens from the programming, the way we've been brought up, the belief systems and everything, but we tend to think that we're going to solve the issue in the outer world. After all, that's the way it's kind of always been, hasn't it? I mean, you want to be dating, then go on a dating site or go on several dating sites and see what happens. Or, do other things out there. Take a dance class, or go to something that you're interested in doing, a cooking class, and maybe you'll meet your perfect mate there. But it's all outside. It's being driven outside, meaning it's being driven by the ego. Now, the ego mind really wants to fix the problem. It's trying really hard. I mean, the ego thinks that's their job, and so that's what they're going to do. But it doesn't work that way. That's not solving the problem. The ego can only go in like on the hamster wheel. That's what it does. It's repeat, repeat, repeat. Try this, try this, try that. Oh, can't. Okay. And maybe at some point you just say, I'm giving up, or you become too depressed to bother with trying to figure this out. That could be the good news, by the way. But what I'm suggesting, and I know this helps tremendously, because this is how I work with people, is when you don't separate this other life, like as if you have two lives or you're two different people, but you literally merge, morph together your spiritual and your, what you could call, outer life, that everyday life. They merge together. It's the same thing. What happens, though, and where the absolute richness and the what do I want to call it, the better decisions that are made is when you realize that whatever situation or challenge you happen to be facing right now, when you can go into the inner part within, which you may be calling your spiritual life, but that is the place, it's the only place, there is no other place. It's the only place where you're going to find the answers or the direction of what to take or what to do. Because that part of you is the knowing part. It's where your intuition sits. It's where an inner knowing that can't happen in the outer. It just can't. It's impossible. But when you go within through meditation, which is what I always recommend, of course, and you're coming from what you might want to call a spiritual point of view, which really just means you're coming from a more neutral place, you're able to disconnect or disidentify with the ego. In other words, you're not that character out there running from here to there and everywhere to try to solve the problem, but you're actually the wise one, the inner one, that will definitely have the answers and the steps to take to get you where you want to go. Yeah? So, for instance, when you're having a particular issue with, let's say it's a job. Let's say right now that you're in a job that pays well. It definitely is part of what you've been trained to do, but you're not in alignment with it. You're absolutely not in alignment. Maybe you don't even know why. I mean, it could be that you feel the people that work in this company are just not right for you. The environment isn't right. That could be. Or you have an issue with a boss or a coworker. That could be. But it's that feeling inside where this isn't working. And it's like every day you kind of have this dread to have to go to work, and you can hardly wait for the day to end so you can go home. But yet, it's a job, it pays you well, and it's also about what you do, right? So there's that struggle. If you would take the time and take the initiative to stop trying to figure this out there, or stop with trying to just feel so frustrated or stuck in the situation, but rather you took, and it's action actually, you took the action to start to ask from within. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I find an answer to this? And basically, your guides, which by the way, we all have our guides, we all have our intuition, it's all there. It's just that we're not paying attention to it. We don't hear our guides, they're talking all the time. We don't notice the intuition bubbling up to tell us go here instead of there. Maybe we get kind of an inkling of it, but we ignore it because we've been out there looking for the answer, and the answer is saying, oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that, or maybe you need another class to take so that you'd be a better prospect for a new company. All those things that go on, or if it's an issue with you're not finding a relationship, you'll maybe be hearing out there, try this dating site, that's a better one, or try to go to something that you like to do, like wine tasting or a cooking class, and then maybe you'll meet the one that's in alignment with you. That doesn't work. I mean, it's simply by, what do I want to call it? It actually, I was going to say by accident, but there are no accidents, right? So it doesn't work. what finally does work is you may not even realize it, but that you finally kind of let go of trying to figure this out there. And it's a time about when you go, I don't know, I don't have an answer. You kind of get exhausted and you give up. And that's when you calm down. You become more of an observer than being that character running around out there trying to figure it out. And you start looking through a completely different lens. And that's when things start to shift. That's when you may hear something, a voice in your head that says, you know, you ought to go check out that cooking school tonight. Or maybe it'll say, like, you really need to take a walk around the lake today. And you do that, and you, by miracle, meet a person that ends up to be that person that you've been looking to meet because you took a walk around the lake. I mean, it's these kinds of people, some people call it synchronicity, but most people are oblivious to it even happening in a way that they would consider to be not out there, or it's just a synchronicity, or it's just a circumstance that happened to happen. But it's not. It's being worked through by your guides. Like I said, we all have our guides and we all have our intuition. And your guides are the ones that can set things up, put things in motion in the right way. We can't do that for ourselves. We just can't. But our ego says it can. Our ego is right out there telling us, go do this, go do that. You know, for a woman, okay, you need to lose weight, get your hair a different color, do this, do that, whatever, those kinds of things. Like trying to manipulate what you want to make happen. Or you have a particular belief system. I see this a lot about a career you're supposed to be in. After all, you got your degree in this particular area of expertise, and you're supposed to be making a certain amount of money, so you have that belief. And you also need to be at the top of the scale in terms of money, or you need to be a manager in your chosen profession by this many years. There's all these beliefs that are driving you, and as these beliefs are driving you, you're missing out on exactly what it is that you should be doing, the thing that would make you the most happy. And so you're out there trudging through, trying to make what you think would be the right thing to happen. And then all this judgment comes in, and it goes nowhere. It just goes nowhere. So what I'm trying to say is everyday life, yeah, it's full of challenges, definitely. I mean, from little challenges like, you know, challenge of I'm in a traffic jam right now, late for a meeting, to what we might think is the bigger challenge of I really want to find a partner and it's not happening, or I'm running out of time to have a child, if you're a woman, and I'm not finding a partner. This is what I hear all day long with people, right? When there is such a better and more powerful way to deal with this, but because we have these ideas of separation, separate spiritual life, then there's our everyday life. We feel we're separate from the totality. We feel we're separate from the person that does this or that. It's all this separation, but the biggest part is when we can take and bring together our what we call our spiritual life and our everyday life, and have that as one, and start to make decisions from the right place. The problem is we don't trust it. We don't trust that when we go within, we don't even trust sometimes what we actually do here. We question it. Again, this is all programming, I get it. It's the way that we've been brought up to go without, go outside of, go into the outer world to solve the problem and find the answer. So it definitely takes practice. It does take practice to start to trust that inner voice. It's always there. It's always talking to us, but we aren't hearing it because we're so focused on the outer experience, the outer world, the outer how should we do it, or we're asking our friends, or we're asking other experts, their opinion. And so you just start running in every direction, and it's all detours and wrong roads. Yep, I'm sure you've had this experience. So what I'm encouraging you to do with whatever the particular challenge or challenges are that you're having in your life right now, whether it's money issues, health issues, relationship issues, career issues, I don't know how many other issues are there, that their answers are right there within, and they're the right answers. But it's going to take some practice on your end to really start to hear what's being told to you, and to really start to trust that that's the way to go. Now, here's a hint. Once you really start to get within and start to feel and connect with your guides, and start to want to act on what you're being driven toward or directed toward, you want to be careful that you're not sharing that with your family, with your supposedly best friends. And here's why. Because you're stepping out of that mold that you were in. And you're going to find that what you're thinking of doing is probably going to sound frightening to family, friends, etc. And then when that happens, you're going to start to go backwards again and distrust what you're feeling to do. So you want to give yourself that space to just stay within, start acting on what you're hearing. Some people feel it. It doesn't matter. You're going to know how that's going to come up for you. Keep practicing, but don't share at this time. Because by the time you will share, you're going to be stronger, very strong in your commitment. The truth is, whenever you share, more than likely, you're going to get some pushback, particularly from those that really care about you, because they're going to freak out. They're going to think you're doing the wrong thing. Like maybe you're going to leave the job that is the perfect job for you in their opinion, or the perfect stepping stone in your career. So you've got to prepare for that. And that's why I'm saying at the beginning during your practice, don't share this information. So again, what I'm going to recommend or advise is, depending on what it is that you're challenged with, pick one thing and start to every day go within and ask your guides for help. Ask for information of where you should go, how you should go. But the more important thing is relax and listen. Back away from being that character out there that's running around trying to figure it out, and become the observer, kind of stepping back, like watching from a different point of view. If you would commit every day to doing this, every day sitting quietly for at least 30 minutes, I can't exactly tell you when and how long it's going to take you to start trusting that inner world, but if you are really committed to doing it, if you really are willing to give it a shot, a really serious shot, then it won't be that long. And you will start actually hearing much more of a clear direction. You won't have that churning inside when you're trying to find it out there and everywhere. No, it's going to come through in a very clear way if you're able to hear it, right? So, I hope this made sense. I hope that you can start to at least think about that your spiritual and your outer life are not different. Your everyday life, they're the same. Pull them together and start to, when you look inside for answers, when you find yourself looking out there, trying to make this happen or manipulate this so it won't happen, whatever it is you're doing out there that is causing you to suffer, causing you to feel pretty miserable. If you can catch that, stop, have patience. That's the other thing, have patience. It's not going to happen overnight, because it can't, it shouldn't. Because once you're really connected with your guides, they're going to do things, put things in place, that's what they do, to create the right opportunity, the right situation. It may not, quite often it isn't what you think it should be. And that's the good news. It really is, that's the good news. So, again, I know I just keep saying this over again, but I know a lot of us need this spaced repetition, hearing it over. The key is the baby step. When you notice yourself running around out there trying to find this answer, and you feel yourself getting more and more frustrated, or fearful, really fearful, if you can just remind yourself, maybe you put a sticky thing up on your mirror in the bathroom that says, go within. Stop. Go within. Listen. Even if you find, oh, I have trouble doing that because my mind doesn't stop, it's okay. It will stop if you continue to do this. It's like anything else, right? You have to practice to get it right. And that's what we have to do. So it doesn't matter if you're practicing to have a better backhand in tennis or practice to learn to listen within. It's all the same. Again, there is no spiritual and there is no outer separate from each other. It's the same. So that's the key, what we're trying to do. Hope this helps someone out there. I really will be talking about this more because I think this is a big situation, a big problem for us when we have all this separation of going on of how to really do our life. So, thank you for listening. And again, I hope this helped some of you. And I'd like you to like the video, press like if you like the video. If you're not subscribed, please become a subscriber. And if you'd like to be alerted to when other videos will be played, then just hit that bell. And also feel free to leave a comment. I always read your comments. I love to hear your comments. Leave a comment about what you're struggling with, and let's see if we can't give you some help that way. Alrighty. I think that says it all for the now, for the moment. And we'll talk soon. Take care.